Halito, welcome to the Stanford American Indian Organization's 50th anniversary 50 for 50, in which we spotlight one Indigenous alum each week for the 50 weeks leading up to the 50th Stanford Powwow. I'm Shoni Blake, Choctaw and Cherokee, class of 2006, and current resident fellow of Muwekmataruk. Today I'm speaking with the Honorable Sunshine Sykes, judge for the Riverside County Superior Court. Sunshine received her bachelor's in English from Stanford in 1997 and JD from Stanford in 2001. Sunshine, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I wish we didn't have to be virtual, but it's nice to at least be able to connect this way.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I thank you so much for your time because as I'm going to get into it, my first question, I know that you wear a lot of hats. And so can you just give everybody an idea about what it means to preside over the Riverside County Superior Court's complex civil litigation department and the appellate division, and to be Riverside County's sole nighttime magistrate judge? Seems like a lot.
Well, it is a lot, and I have 4 children, and I'm a single mother, divorced. But certainly their dad helps me. But when I'm home with them, it's me full time. So I definitely wear a lot of hats, and thankfully, I'm good at multitasking. I think all of us mothers are, we have to be. But certainly it is a lot of hats to wear. Luckily, I'm on nighttime magistrate duty now, but during the day, I get to work from home. So it's quite nice being able to answer phone calls from officers in regards to emergency protective orders, search warrants, arrest warrants and such. So I'm kind of up and down all night long. But it allows me, at least during the pandemic, to be at home with my children and make sure that they're doing their schoolwork when they should be. So if you see anyone around, they might pop up behind me, and I have a dog and such here as well. But when I'm not on my nighttime magistrate duty, I do preside over a complex civil litigation department. It's the only complex department in the county. So it is quite a lot of work. However, I really do enjoy it. I get to handle complex class action cases, so employment cases, products liability cases, environmental cases concerning the CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act, as well as other construction defect and other type of larger cases that involve either a lot of documents, a lot of litigants and such. I also preside over the appellate division, which is our local appellate court for any type of appeals for like unlawful detainers type cases, as well as misdemeanor criminal appeals. And so I really do enjoy that as well, because I don't have a criminal background, but through the magistrate position as well as the appellate position, I've really gotten a taste and a feel for criminal law, other than presiding over a few trials here and there throughout my career. So and also I do community service, and I'm within the community a lot. So there's a lot of things, like you said, hats I wear, but I certainly enjoy them, devoting my time to not only my children, my community, and my job.
This is probably an unfair and hard question to ask or answer, but what do you like the most out of all of the things you do, and what do you like about what you're doing?
Well, as far as what I like about what I'm doing, I really enjoy being a judge. I can't say that I regret anything about my career choices. I've been fortunate enough to be able to be a judge and be selected by the governor to preside over these cases and be in this position. I do enjoy the challenges of that are presented and figuring something out. I always tell young students when I go talk to them, it's like solving puzzles all day long. Looking at pieces, trying to see where they fit, bringing in the law, bringing in the facts, and making a decision. And I always really enjoyed solving puzzles as a kid as well. So in civil, something new comes up all the time. So the civil arena is so large that I can say that, regularly I get an area of the law or an issue that I have not seen before. And so I enjoy kind of that challenge of figuring things out, researching or looking at the facts, looking at the law, and figuring out my cases. So I think that's what really motivates me in my day to day. So I do enjoy being assigned to civil because that allows for that to happen. As far as all my hats and what I enjoy the most, I could say that I really enjoy my community outreach because I do, there's several tribes here, I think about 14 to 17 tribes here in Riverside County. So I've done a lot of outreach with the local Native youth as well as youth in general at various schools here. Just really sharing my journey to the bench, how, a girl from Tuba City, Arizona, on the Navajo reservation made her way to a Superior Court position. And so I being the first Native here, I think it's important for our youth to see someone who looks like them, and it allows them to really take it to heart that this is an opportunity that they can have if they work hard to obtain it. So one of the stories I have is that I was at an elementary school, and this little boy raised his hand after I was done talking, and he's like, are you sure you're a judge? And it's like, yes, why do you say that? And he was like, well, you sure don't look like a judge. And I was like, well, what are judges supposed to look like? And he's like, well, I don't know, but not you. So, kids have their own perception of what judges are supposed to look like. And generally it's an older white man with gray hair or white hair. And that's who judges are. So when I have youth come over to visit me in my courtroom from Sherman Indian School or from Noli Indian School at Saboba, generally I'll take them down a long hallway. I preside at the historic courthouse in Riverside, which was built in 1903. So it's this beautiful building. It's a historical landmark, and it's just a gorgeous, it looks like I'm in a TV set in my courtroom, like literally. So I wish we could have done this in person. You could have seen it. So I'm very fortunate to preside in such a beautiful courtroom. But I'll take them down this long hall, and it's all the photos of the presiding judges in the history of Riverside County. And at the end, they'll come back and I'll be like, well, what did you see? What did you notice? And they'll be like, well, they're all white men, and I said, okay, well, what are we going to do to change that? And then we have a discussion about the importance of why diversity is important on the bench and what it means to not only natives, but to others to have a diverse bench. So
I guess sort of speaking about that, can you kind of talk about your transition from being an attorney and becoming a judge, and like, I guess both how that happened and like what's different in the practice of law from the attorney side to being a judge?
Mm-hmm. Do you mean how it happened, my application process, or, how do you mean, like in that decision, or
so I guess
practically speaking?
sorry, that was a too broad of a question, but how, like, I guess more like how you prepare yourself, I guess, maybe to become a judge, and how you want to become a judge, and also then how that happens, and then also the differences in how you kind of view the law and your position within the law, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Because we talked to, actually through this series, we talked to a lot of attorneys, but you are the only judge.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think as a young child, I always knew I wanted to be an attorney and eventually a judge. I think starting off, really in when I was living with my mother in Gallup, New Mexico, unfortunately, my mother was a victim of domestic violence by my stepfather, and I saw that, growing up for a large portion of my life. Also, my mother was, you know, essentially a single mother, trying to support me, and I saw her experience, a lot of racism. In Gallup, New Mexico, even just walking down the street, as a Native woman. And I think that's really what motivated me to want to do something or have some sort of impact. I think as a young child was more kind of protecting my mother. What can I do? And I always tell the story, and I've heard others, talk about this. Actually, a female judge, but at the time, my mother would come home from work. She was working for the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and during the lunchtime hour, she would come home and we'd eat lunch. And Perry Mason was always on. I don't know, you may be too young for that show, but it's a black and white a show. And Perry Mason is this really kind of cool, suave attorney who always, figures everything out and gets criminals to confess on the stand. So, but I saw kind of the way he was able to use the law. He was able to protect, his clients and whatever case may be presented to him. And as a young Native girl, I thought, wow, that seems pretty cool. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I can, be a lawyer, and then I'd be able to, protect my mother or protect others. And so from that day forward, I think I really devoted a lot of my time, at least throughout my schooling, to really focus in on getting good grades, and to keep that goal in my vision. And with choices I would make, think, okay, how can I get there? And perhaps as a young child, it wasn't as concrete. It was more just this idea of what I could do or what I could be, really not knowing a lot about it, because I didn't have, any lawyers in my family or anyone to kind of mentor me or to look up to in regards to that type of career. But that's really what motivated me to get interested into going to law school and eventually becoming a judge. As an attorney, I did work for California Indian Legal Services. I devoted a lot of my career as an attorney to juvenile dependency, so representing not only children, tribes. I actually represented every spectrum of the dependency process at some point in my career. Parents, minors, tribal interest, state interest, social workers. And through that, I developed an expertise in the Indian Child Welfare Act. And I saw that how I could do training not only to attorneys, but to judges and others throughout the state. And, as a judge, you really have a broader impact and a broader reach. And, you're thought to have a broader, I guess, legitimacy. And people listen a little more when you're a judge. I've found your voice is louder, and it can reach farther. So I think, knowing that as an attorney, that was one of my motivations as well, is to really be able to have a broader impact, not only in my community, but also across the state. And I saw that there was a significant lack of Native judges in the California judiciary. Right now, I think there's only four or five. And so we don't have a large population of Native judges. And, to be honest, it can be quite lonely because there's really no one to connect with, no one to talk to who comes from a similar experience as to myself, just to kind of like, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Or, just to have someone of my background to be able to talk to. Because as judges, we can't just go talk to anyone. Like we can only consult and talk to other judges. So I think that was one of my motivations, but also just to be able to make those decisions. As an attorney, you're an advocate. So you're advocating for one side, your client, your position, and although you want to kind of understand the other side, ultimately you don't, you're pushing your own side. You don't really necessarily care about the other side. At least that's you want to understand them, but you're always advocating for your own side. As a judge, you really have to understand both sides. And you have to be open to both sides, and you have to listen to both sides, and you have to consider both sides. And then you take all of that information and you look at the law and you make a decision. So it's a completely different way of utilizing the law, and it's a completely different than being an attorney. And I really do enjoy it, and like I said before, I have no regrets of making this transition. And my only hope is now is that I can use this position to help others to come to the bench as well. Because we certainly do need more natives as judges across the state and really across the country.
Yeah, 4 or 5 natives in the whole state of California sounds very like way too few.
Yeah. And I was the first in Riverside County, and I was appointed in 2013. And so right now there's only one, I believe it's one, there was 2 natives in LA County, which I think has the second largest native population of any city in the United States. So I think one retired, and now there's another judge there, Deborah Sanchez, who I just did a training with. So I was able to connect with her, but we're in 2 different counties. And I think we're the only ones in Southern California that I'm aware of.
That's incredible, not in a good way, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Well, of all the things that you have done, is there anything that you're what are you the proudest of, I guess is the question.
Well, I think just being able to become a judge, because I look back at all, the struggles I went through, all the disappointments. I mean, it wasn't easy. And even when I was able to finally get appointed and get that call from the governor's office, before I even sat one foot on the bench, I was challenged in an election. And that's the first time that has ever happened in the history of Riverside County. And, it's not, I don't think it's a coincidence that the first native to ever be appointed was also the first one to ever be challenged. Unfortunately, that wasn't a coincidence. And that was a very difficult time for me, because at the time my youngest daughter was only 3 and my oldest, was 13. So I had never presided over a jury trial before, I had never been an attorney in a jury trial before. And here I was handling jury trials, handling a huge calendar, because in Riverside we have a large we have a large population that hasn't yet quite caught up to the number of judges. So we're lacking a lot of judges for the population. So it was quite a difficult time for me to handle, multitasking again, handle a new courtroom, handle a new career, handle 4 children, handle a election, going out into the community. But ultimately, in the end, I was able to do that. And I was able to win my election overwhelmingly by almost 70%. And I think that was quite a huge accomplishment, something I was very proud of, that I was able to do that, but also able to, be an example to my children when things, basically that I had finally got to something I had wanted. I had finally achieved my dream, really, my lifelong dream to be a judge. And I felt like, okay, now I can just breathe, like just let it down. Like, okay, you did it. nope, boom, 1 month, boom, you can't ever let your guard down, unfortunately, as Native people. Like, and it was just, okay, put my gloves back on, let's go do this, girls. And I had my girls with me in tow, and we'd go put up yard signs, we'd go into the community, I'd go talk at different places, try to garner support. Fortunately, the local tribal communities really stepped up and supported me. They even got me a billboard, an electric billboard. And, it's a funny story because I put all my girls in the car. I'm like, let's go. And it was like at a freeway off ramp, kind of going onto another freeway. But it was one of those electronic billboards that's timed, so it's rotating. So I swear, me and my girls drove around in a circle, like for 15 minutes, trying to catch it just at the right time. And then it was just so heartwarming to me, because when we finally caught it, my little 3-year-old was like, "There's Mama." So really kind of just being able to show my daughter's strength during adversity, and to show them that, no matter how people are trying to bring you down, you have to step up and you have to fight for what you believe in and for what you believe is yours, and making it through that, and being able to survive that experience and hold on to what I worked so hard to achieve, was something, to me, was quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, that's amazing. My youngest is 3 right now, and I just, man, I can't imagine. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna shift focus a little bit to your time at Stanford. So I was wondering if you have a favorite SIAO or Native community memory that you can share with us.
I have lots. There was just so many wonderful people I met there, so many friendships I made. Some, I still have friends that I speak to even today. Fortunately, Facebook just brings us all together. So I can, even if I don't speak directly to them, I can be involved in their lives and see what they're up to. And, I'm not as good at posting things, so people probably don't know a lot about me as much as I know about them. But certainly I have that connection. Also, my cousin, Ginger Sykes, went to Stanford. So she actually took care of my daughter in Muwekma, because she was living there as a first year undergrad when I was in my 3rd year at Stanford Law School. And so I had my daughter in my 3rd year, in October, the beginning of my 3rd year of law school. So when I was going to class, my cousin and her roommate would watch my daughter. So, it takes a village to raise children. And so my little one was actually there in Muwekma when I was at class. So that's, I have a lot of fond memories there. And of course, just being an undergrad, hanging out in Muwekma as well, with my friends. But I can say, if I think about, my fondest of memories, I would say that, I can't help but look back towards graduation, the Native American law student, not even the Native American law students, but also the my undergraduate graduation, the Native graduation. I think it was just, I still remember it. I remember getting the blanket, wrapped around me, saying goodbye to all my friends, just kind of having that feeling of accomplishment that I had made it, and just the ceremony of it, and just the feeling I had of, accomplishment, finally making it, and then being recognized by the Native community, and by all those friendships that I had made. I think that was just a really, really special moment for me. Also, the fun moments are, hanging out at powwow, and, helping with that, and hanging out with my friends, going to the beach, going to San Francisco. There's just so many fond memories of my time at Stanford, that it's hard to really, narrow it down. But I would say graduation was probably the fondest.
Well, thank you for sharing all of those experiences, though. I think one of the themes that's come out a little bit in this series is that the intergenerational aspect of our community, and how there always, seem to be some children running around,
Oh, yeah.
even though you might not expect it.
Uh-huh.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
What was one of the major issues facing the Native community at Stanford or more broadly while you were here?
I'm trying to remember. You know, I'm I can't remember what any specific issues that we were tackling at that time. I know that we were trying to get more courses in concerning like Native American history, more Native professors, to be able to be tenured and to be able to teach the classes. So I know that there's a real big push to have more accessibility to Native professors coming to teach, even if they weren't going to be full-time professors, but bringing in others to the community to teach those classes. Because there was and I don't know how it is today, but certainly at the time we had, I think Robert Warrior was the only professor of Native descent. And so he was the go-to for everyone with everything about, writing papers, applying for scholarships. So, and I was an English major, so he was, more aligned with my major. But so there may have been others that were in different majors, but that was the go-to for me. So I think there was a big push to expand not only the courses, but also the teachers, the professors there.
Yeah, I think that's still kind of an issue now. And we have three, I'm trying to think, make sure I'm not missing anybody. I think three tenured professors now, but we also now have 300 undergraduates. So what? I said we also now have 300 undergraduates that are Native. So like that's still quite a bit of work, even though we have three. So Sunshine, my last question is, what do you want for the Stanford Native community in the next 50 years?
Well, along the same lines of what we just said, more students, more courses, more professors. Certainly it seems the student population has grown. So I think there should, just like I said before, in the judiciary, in all aspects of different other careers, there needs to be diversity. And we as Natives need to have not only more Native attorneys, more Native judges, but certainly in an academic environment, more Native professors and more Native courses. When I was in the law school, I think we just had one course on federal Indian law. And I think that was really the only course you could take. And since I was interested in the law, I took it as an undergrad. So when I attended the law school, it's like, okay, well, I took that course. What else is there? So I think that's something that I would hope that we as a Native community could try to advocate for, is more courses and more professors and more outreach to get more students into our community.
Well, Sunshine, thank you so much for your time. It has been a pleasure talking to you. And if those watching would like more information about Sunshine, you can find a hyperlinked biography on the 50 for 50 section of the Native American Cultural Center's website, along with past 50 for 50.
And I just want to say one thing. I am always open to be a mentor. So I would not hesitate, whoever might see this out there. If you really are interested in the law, you're interested in a legal career, you're interested in ultimately perhaps becoming a judge, my door is always open, not only to the Stanford community, but the Native community as a whole and others within the community. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me in Riverside County. if you want to connect and you want just some, some mentorship or some guidance or some assistance with a legal career. So
thank you so much, Sunshine.
thank you. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and it was quite an honor to be recognized. So I do thank you.
Well, how could we not recognize the first Native American appointed in Riverside County to be a judge? Thank you.
Thank you.